Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unit 5, Data and Society. And this is Lesson 4 of Unit 5, Representing Images. Lesson 3 dealt with the binary operation and how we encode and decode different words. This is going to talk about, or today's lesson is going to talk about how we represent images in our data system. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the overview. So everybody go to code.org. Again, Unit 5, Lesson 4. And we will not have any activity guides today, so you can stay right in code.org. All of our lessons or all of our work will be done in code.org today, and we'll go through the bubbles together. Okay, first of all, this lesson continues with the study of binary representation systems, this time with images. You'll be introduced to the concept of splitting images into squares or pixels, which can be turned into or on and off individually to make an entire image. After doing a short set of challenges using the pixel widget or pixelation widget, the class makes connections between the system for representing images and the system for representing text you learned in the previous lesson. Okay, first of all, the vocab word today, pixel, short for picture element, the fundamental unit of digital image, typically a tiny square or dot that contains a single point of color of a larger image. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the purpose, and then I'm going to show you a slide. The purpose of this lesson is to introduce another commonly used system of representing information in binary. The most obvious takeaways from the Pixelation widget will obviously be that 1 means on and 0 means off. What might be less obvious, however, is that the width and the height of the image need to be agreed upon in order to interpret the binary image. Okay, what that means is when you go and you put your picture together, and once we get into our bubbles, we'll see that the width and the height of the image, or the amount of pixels that you're going to use, are going to make a big difference of how your image comes out. A raw image is really hard to represent. The idea to turn an image into a grid of black and white squares significantly simplifies the challenge and makes it into the kind of problem that a computer scientists know how to solve. While the activity in this lesson may feel like you're just typing zeros and ones, it actually reveals a lot about how people think about representing information in binary and what challenges and trade-offs are created as a result. So today, our objective again, create and manipulate binary patterns to represent black and white images, and describe common features of systems used to represent information in binary. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have you look at, we're going to look at an image. Okay, this image, first of all, let's look at the first one, is a bicycle in a tree. Okay, you have a bicycle in a tree. Is it easy representing those? How do we get those pictures to look that nice and that neat? If you'll look back or you think back at when you go and buy a camera or when you bought your phone, what did you base your phone on? A lot of it, how much data it held, maybe how well the pictures were coming out in the phone itself. The camera's the same way. When you take a picture, everybody talks about the pixels. Okay, how many dots are in each one of those little pictures? Okay, those are the pixels. So the clearer a picture is, the more pixels it has. Okay, let's look at the second slide. Here's an example of what we are dealing with. The first one, the first image here, I tried pointing to it, but it's right here. The first pictures are kind of what we're going to be doing today, showing black and white squares and how to make a picture with black and white squares. Pixels, very, very minimal. Not very many pixels in those pictures at all. As we move up to the upper picture, you see how clearer the picture gets. We add more pixels to it. And when we finally get to the top one, these are the pictures with much more pixels. In other words, it's broken down into many more dots, many more little images within the picture itself. And that's what a pixel really consists of, many more images within that picture. All right, so go ahead and go to bubble 2. Okay, in bubble 2, we're going to do this. Complete the X shape by typing in zeros and ones. You can always click readable format if you want to clean it up. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. I want you to go ahead and try it on your own first. So what we want to do is we want to fill in where the pink squares are, and we want to make the rest of the X. So we want to complete this portion of the X and this portion of the X. Now, we're doing it over here on this grid. It says up here that our image width is 10 and our image height is 10. It's given us 10 squares to work with, going both ways. Okay, that is telling us our grid that we're dealing with, our grid that we're working with. All right, so what we need to do is we need to add in some X's and O's down here to make sure that we finish up the square or the X. So let's start over here on our page. Okay, so the first one, right over here, what do you think that's going to be? Okay, it's going to be a 1 because 1 is the white square. What do we want to put here? How about a 0? 0 is going to be black. Then we go across and we continue on. Let's see. Let's put a space in here. It looks like it has a space in for it. Okay, so then we put the next one in, space, and we put another 1. That gives us a white square. Space, another white square, space, another white square, space, another white square, and so on until we get to this one here. Now, to continue that X, we want to put a 0 in. Then we put another space and a 1. And now we go and hit the return. We go down to the last line and complete that last line. So we're going to go with a 0 to start with, and then a space and a 1, 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 space and a 1. And the last square is a 0 to complete the X. Now, the ones being on are the white squares. Zeros being off are the black squares. Whoops. Let me get that right here. Let's get that space in there. There we go. So now you see our grid. Here's our grid that we've worked with, our ones and zeros, and here is the outcome of our design. Okay, so we created an X using zeros and ones. Okay, let's go over to the second one, the third bubble. Okay, representing the third bubble. Okay, so now we're going to create a face. So I want you to go ahead and do this one on your own. Do this. Use the Pixelation widget to draw a smiley face. Okay, so go ahead and we'll write okay, and go ahead and make up your smiley face. Now again, we're dealing with image width and the image height is 10 and 10. Now you can increase it, so let's take a look at that real quick. If we increase our image width, watch our square. See how it goes wider and wider? Okay, it goes wider, but it also decreases the amount of space for your X's. Now, this means we look at 19 and we're looking at 19 squares across here. That's what that means. Oh, let's stop this real quick. Okay, so what that does is it also decreases or it increases the number of boxes we have across, changing the width of our image. Now, if we were to do the same thing with the height and we want to increase that, okay, so now we are looking at not an image with 10 boxes each. We're looking at an image with 19 boxes each. Our pixels have gotten smaller, which means there are more pixels for our pictures, which means our pictures are probably going to be a little clearer. So let's go back to 10 because that's what we were dealing with is 10. So we go to 10 and we go to 10. And there we go. So now go ahead and create that image, the happy face, using your boxes over here. So I'll give you a start on it. So if we want to create a happy face, you're just trying to look at 1 and let's go 0, 1. Let's go back. The happy face with an eye way up there. So probably the whole thing across the top is going to be 1. Enter, maybe 2. Enter. Now we want to start making, put our eyes in here. So let's put our eye there. And maybe put an eye. Oops, I can put the eye there. There we go. Okay, there's my happy face. Yes, he's looking good. I'll go down another row before I start the nose. One, nose. That's not a very good nose, is it? All right, so let's make a double nose. Let's do a double nose. Here we go. Okay, and then we'll go down here and we'll create that. Enter. Now maybe I want to start my smiley there, or my smile. It's running outside. Okay, I'm having a good time with this now. Whoops. Whoops. Even I can mess up here. Whoops, there I did it again. I'm trying to do it in a hurry, that's why. And here we go with the last. Whoops. And there it is. Whoops, we forgot to put the code down here. So in order to do that correctly, we need to put the code back where it belongs. Enter, and then we go down here to enter. And it's because I didn't put the code on. So now the code looks correct. There should be some spaces in between, but you don't have to have them. Okay, so now it looks like it's kind of a smiley face, and I hope yours looks somewhat like that. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and move on over to the next bubble. Okay, so the next one, you're going to try and figure out what this image is. Okay, the width and the height sliders are set correctly for the image, or actually incorrectly, so that it doesn't look like anything. Change them until you find the image. Okay, so we're going to go, okay. Now, we look at that and we're saying that is kind of a mess, but we want to change the image, or want to change our sliders up here to make it show that we have some kind of image there. So I'm going to let you play around with it for a couple minutes, and I will come back and see what you came up with. Okay, we're back. So what did you do? What did you find out? If you found out that it was some kind of animal, you are correct. So I would start with the top one, image width, and see what we can do with it to make it come up with something. And up, we changed it to a 12. The widget width. We'll look at the height now to kind of bring it even. And there it is. So we got 11. Let's go to 12 to get rid of all that gray. And there it is. So by creating or increasing our width and our height by 2, that's moving the sliders over 2, we've shown that what our code here creates, our binary code for pixels, creates a dog. And that's what we're supposed to have. So let's go to the next one. Move on to bubble 5. Okay, now on bubble 5, you're going to add eyebrows to the smiley face. Remember to use the readable format if you get stuck. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll give you a couple minutes to finish that up. Put some eyebrows on him. Okay, so this time we're going to be, moving around and deleting some of these ones to add O's. So let's start with, we want to go with 1, 2, 3 down, or let's put it up here at 2 down. Okay, so we'll go 2 down. And let's figure out where we want to start it. So let's say we'll start it right. Let's try right here. So we'll delete that one. Put a 0 in there. Yeah, that looks close enough. And we'll do the same thing on the next one. Delete that one. Go 0. Okay, there's part of an eyebrow. And we'll go over here and do the same thing with right here. Delete that. Put a 0 in there. And then the next one we'll do the same thing. Put a 0 in there. And there we go. We have a smiley face with eyebrows. Okay, so that is how that works. By what you've done is actually changed around your code, your zeros and ones, to add dark spaces in where the light ones were. Okay, so let's move on to the next bubble, number 6. 6, you're going to create your own, I believe. Do this. Now it's your turn. Draw anything you want in the Pixelation widget. Feel free to change the width and the height of your image if you wish. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a couple minutes to go ahead and do this on your own. Create something that you'd like to see. It could be an animal, it could be words, it could be anything that you want, and I will come back with what I did. Okay, so I hope you created something nice. I may drop in on your bubble and see what you've done with it, and hopefully you've created something nice. If you haven't figured out, mine is a soccer ball. well, okay, maybe not completely round soccer ball, but the idea was to just kind of create something that looked like a soccer ball. And I know those of you saying it doesn't look like a soccer ball at all. Okay, so it is a triangle with a square in the middle. I'm going to have to work on my soccer ball. Okay, I admit I have to work on my soccer ball. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so that concludes this lesson, representing images. So I hope you got out of it things that apply to pixels, how pixels relate to pictures. What we're dealing with is a very low grade type of picture. We are creating the pictures with very minimal pixels in them using zeros and ones. Zeros and ones are your pixels, really. The more pixels you have, the better your picture is. So by increasing and decreasing your image width and height, more by increasing it, you're going to get more pixels in it. Your pictures will turn out much better. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.